Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Nighter Round 3 for the month of August. I am Michael Perry, and I am pleased to be joined by National Master Okey. Tonight, as always, before we get into the games, we have a few quick announcements. The first one would be the GM camp and the Roger Hale tournament this weekend. The fees do go up tomorrow, so make sure to sign up before then if you're planning to attend and don't want to get charged a few extra bucks. Our player profile for this week
And our player profile for this week is Serafima Sokolovskaya. She has a peak rating of 2137. Her best wins include Jordan Tim, which was just last week in the Thursday Nighter, Grandmaster Andrew Tang, Kurt Braskett, Edward Zelkin, and best draws include Wilson Gibbons, Edward Zelkin, Mark Plum, and Anne-Ray Chernoff. So looking forward to covering Serafima tonight. She is playing the club president, Dane Zagar.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So we have that as a featured game in the middle here. And Dane starts off with d4, as is his wont. And Serafima, or Seema, as we often call her, seems like giving an invitation to a Nimzovich defense or Chigorin, depending on how Dane responds. And now we have something unstereotyped, to put it mildly, from both players.
Yeah, she got a position not similar to this, but we now know that she plays this knight c6 stuff because she had a similar position against Jordan last week where she allows white to play d5 and kick her knight.
Mm-hmm. So
or maybe that was 2 weeks ago, but yeah.
This is part of her home cooking, so to speak. So Dane doesn't seem to be terribly impressed and is going after her. So the pawn is verboten, probably because of this. And then the endgame is most likely not great for black. Although, let's see. What happens after, say, queen f6 here? Maybe rook takes?
Yeah, this is absolute nuts.
Yes.
I mean, so then if rook takes h7, queen takes g8, knight
yes.
knight f8 guards the rook. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So this happened instead, and now we have a very atypical pawn structure.
Do you have a preference here, or you think it's about equal?
I think it's about equal. Although maybe with d6, black might have some new questions to answer, just because white's pieces look a little bit more active. They're ready to get into the battle. And now with the passed pawn on d6, this is an interesting question. Is this a strong passed pawn, or is it a potential target?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going off instincts here, and these players are established experts or even or above that. But my instincts were, I mean, I was a bit shocked by both D6 and C5. I don't know, D6 to me, I was expecting black to just take it and then say, I'm glad
Yeah,
you opened it up because you have doubled e pawns, and if my rook invades, it's probably more dangerous than if your rook invades. So I was a bit surprised by D6 because I thought
yes,
black could just take, and then rook takes D6, and then you probably want to play King G7 because you don't want to move your knight because then white gets what he wants and he's going to get his rook to the D7 square. But yeah, King G7, and I thought this is nice for black, but she went
yeah.
C5, which
I
I
mean, it's still not fully clear. So say, okay, sorry, it's white to move, right? So yeah.
yeah
So say if white plays here, um, then maybe black plays here. Oops, maybe that's not so good.
yeah
Um, actually, actually, I think I even prefer this. This is
yeah,
looking very, very unfriendly. That one.
and that's a natural move. Obviously, this position we're just it's a hypothetical. It didn't happen, but that'd be a natural move because once you see, oh, I want to play rook C8, then oh nope, but it doesn't work because the pawn takes. And then there's a bishop discovery. Then the natural move is to play G5. So that would have been an
Yeah.
interesting line, but I guess she didn't want to go for it.
Yeah, D6 leaves an interesting impression for sure. And yeah, the question now is the pawn on D6 a strong passed pawn or a morsel to be munched sooner than later?
Hmm. I feel like we're
Um,
heading more towards a draw now because black's gonna. I mean, it's hard to break through, and the only way you can really break through seems to lead to draw. Black, because black eventually might win the white's D7 pawn, but the only way you don't win it is if you cease to defend your E4 pawn. So, and then once the rooks get traded off and you trade off those two pawns, I would assume that would be a draw from two high level players.
well, actually, I take exception to Seema's choice of rook here. I think that this rook was probably the better one. And
I
my
agree.
idea, my idea is here, 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 here. And
So,
now our knight can continue sitting looking like a very pretty steed on the D6 square. Now, of course, okay, white isn't going to be sitting around and might try to scuttle that plan with rook D6 immediately, whereupon black has to decide how she's going to handle it. So say, oops, sorry, if here and here, uh, yeah, now this is not as fun. Probably black has to defend the knight this way. Or, and this is actually an interesting point that we didn't consider. I think if white can, if black can give up the e4 pawn in a way that still lets them control the e4 square, would it be useful to allow this pawn to be taken so as to expose these two guys?
maybe, but I don't. I'm a bit confused how you could let them take the pawn with still having control over that square.
Yeah, I haven't figured out the details. I'm dealing with the framework of a plan.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
So anyway, let's see how the game actually went. So we have this and there, and yeah, I'm not okay. I guess G pawn. Okay, F pawn makes some sense if you're going to play Rook F7. So okay, that makes some sense.
Yeah. Hmm. Ah,
With the
you
idea
want
of pitting,
Finn, yeah.
yeah. So okay, yeah, I suppose. Row.
Oh
What
no.
is this? So, oh no! Yikes! Oh man, that's
Yeah, not good.
not good. I mean, not good for SEMA, of course, but obviously Dane isn't complaining. How did that happen now? So let's go back here. Yeah, I think that's the problem there, is playing that H5, which is always a difficult thing because you have Black's main asset. Well, one of Black's main assets is the pair of passed pawns on H and G. And so there's a temptation, well, passed pawns need to be pushed, but they should only be pushed when they can be pushed safely. And after H5, Dane was quick to take advantage of the inability to defend that pawn, basically. Tried knight g4, but then check, and then here. And actually, I suppose he could have taken on e4 first, but this seems even meaner because there's no way to adequately defend the king. So after this, I would think that Dane would comfortably finish this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like just she spent only 2 minutes on that critical H5 move that cost her the game. So
Oh,
maybe she
really?
just maybe she just rushed it a bit because it was a little bit tricky because as Black you're a little bit tied down, you can't do much, but I think she just played that too fast because I would assume it's still a draw. You have to be careful as Black because, like I said, you are kind of cramped. But I don't know how White makes too much progress if you just sit. I don't know.
This is.
I mean, initially I was like, oh, maybe Black's slightly better because he has connected passers, but as we saw, you can't move them.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like this is still holdable for Black. Maybe.
Oh, you know what just occurred to me? I was looking at maybe a pawn king track here and here, and then I saw that, well, once the king gets there, there's rook e6, and if the king takes d7, then there's a discovered check with rook takes f6. So to put some moves on it, say we have say we try this and we play some rando move like that, and here, then after this, Black is still not making any progress.
Yeah, tactics.
So yeah, how to make any progress here? I suppose one way, I don't know if it works, but it's worth considering, is here to play g5, because that's the real move you want to get going, right? And then you play king g6 after g5, and then h5, and then g4.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. That's the obvious move. I don't know why it took me that long to see it. Yeah, h6. Yeah, h6. Yeah, h6 must be good.
Now the question, Black can still deal with some heartburn after this, but it seems like White is now in a bit more trouble. In fact, if anything, Black could consider here and here to tell the bishop to boot off, and then play king g6, and then get the pawns rolling. But h4, yeah, h4 seemed a bit too compromised. h5, sorry, I keep on mixing up these. It's because it seems a bit more compromising, and after this, you don't leave chances like this for Dane Zagar, unless you're you decided you're going to lose. He just is merciless with these sort of small tactics. So, okay. And where are we now? Okay, but I expect this to be a very easy conversion for Dane now. So let's look at some of the games that have finished, and then we'll get to the games that are in progress. So we have Torfi versus Ethan. Torfi remains true to his reversed Dutch ways. So optically, it appears as if white might be a little bit better here.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm wondering if f5 makes sense in this position.
Yeah, f5 or rook a e8, a e1. Just bring your last piece into the game. Either seems fine.
Yep.
I don't
Bishop
understand
c3 seemed. Yeah, Bishop c3 seems a little bit tentative, and now, excuse me, and now Black can challenge on the long diagonal.
Yeah, the only rationale I can make behind Bishop c3 is if you want to reroute it to like d2 or e1 and then put it on like g3.
Yeah.
I don't know, like it seems like the best diagonal for it was where it was on the long diagonal, but maybe he just wanted to not have to trade it off, because if he just left his pieces there, then Black can do what he's doing and just trade it off by putting his bishop on f6. But I think you just have to content yourself with, okay, let's just get my rook to the center. Once he plays bishop f6, I'll just take it. Or maybe you can even just play bishop e5 and, sit with attention.
Exactly. So we're looking at rook here instead. So that's a move. I think this is also something to be considered. But I like the idea of moving the last piece into the sphere. And if he goes back with that, then you play f5 anyway. And yeah, I don't think it just seems like white will have the better of this endgame, or well, I guess it's almost a near endgame. Yeah, bishop c3 might have been a waste of time, because now Black is ready to counter on the long diagonal while the rook is still on a1, and so he kind of escaped. Oh, wait a second. Should white play queen e6 in this position instead of rook e1? So if here instead, I mean, I can't say it's winning, but it definitely doesn't look comfortable for Black. But what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like what's going to happen, I mean, I feel like you have to play rook e7 here, because if you play, I mean, there's only two ways. Well, I guess, I mean, or maybe, wait, rook e7 or e5 have to be the only moves. Because if you play rook d6, then white's just going to play rook e5, and then they're maximizing their rook and just hitting everything. So maybe e5 or rook.
Or rook e7, one of the two.
Yeah, rook e7. I lean towards rook e7, but.
And yeah, maybe Black, maybe.
I feel like it's the principle of two weaknesses, where white can maybe argue that, okay, Black has doubled pawns, the c4 pawn is a little, c5 pawn's a little weak, and then his isolated e pawn's a little bit weak. But like I've said before, I mean, a weakness is only a weakness if it can be exploited, and I don't know if these can be
Yes.
exploited enough. And with the classic stereotype that all rook endgames are drawn, I would just go with the consensus and go with the crowd and assume this is a draw. But yeah,
Yeah, it looks drawable. I mean, I do see an interesting. Well, it's interesting because I'm coming up with it. Let me put it that way. But basically, where you try and keep the rook on the f file to prevent black's king from getting in, and then so you bring your f rook up to maybe f3 or f4 or somewhere where it's safe, and then you use the rook to keep the other king from getting in, and then slide your king behind the rook, so you don't have to, so then the king comes over to the queen side. So just something like this, and then boom, 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 boom. But even with that, it's not clear what the king is doing on c3 to c4, because as long as the rook is there. So I don't know if white can actually make progress. I guess this is a summary.
yeah, I do like that plan though. It's definitely a try.
So instead they go into this, which, okay, well, maybe this is actually a better way of doing it, because with the
I
two
do
rooks
like your
defended.
line better though, because now with trading, I think there is a bit of a difference. I don't know, because we're trading both rooks off. I mean, sorry, we're trading one pair of rooks off. Now black's king can be much more active. If you want to exploit the weakness on e6, you don't have
Mhm.
to allow black's king access to the f file, and you just let him into the game. So now he can come all the way to d6, which is a dream square for that black king, because as black you're never
Yeah,
trying to win this, and then white can never really make progress because black's king is guarding his two weaknesses. So I do like your plan. Yeah, just keep the rooks where they were and slowly bring your king in.
yeah, it seems like it's a bit. Okay, so Torfi wants to go to d2, but doesn't want to allow the rook in, I suppose. But now, hmm. So Torfi changed his mind. All right. So we have one of those rook and pawn endings that give rook and pawn endings a bad reputation. So yeah, all right. I suppose there wasn't that much more to do here. Any thoughts
Solid.
regarding this game?
Yeah, so I think it was just solidly played by both sides, and I think draw is a fair result.
Well, all right. Well, let's go to Michael Muff versus Jordan Tim. And
Ooh, Jordan with his troll opening. A6, B5. He's played this against me.
oh, he
I
has.
have you know, which I mean, I think he did win that game if I remember correctly too. So don't underestimate the troll opening.
Oh, me underestimated. I played this thing for a couple of years, and I took down title players too.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I
Actually,
mean,
yeah.
it does have
First,
some benefits, but obviously it's not what Stockfish would recommend.
no, definitely not. No, yeah. I played it, I think, for 2 or 3 seasons actually, and I finally decided to go back to sounder openings after receiving fully earned thrashings at the hands of 2 players who I didn't realize before playing them had also wasted some of their youth playing this stuff. And so they knew where the skeletons were hidden. and used this against me. One of them was Sean Nagel, and the other one was a player from Tennessee, who he nicknamed Blonde Kramnik. You can look that up later. But yeah, they both caused me major heartache, and so I said, okay, I'll go back to the French. But yeah,
so tell me, okay, what's the appeal of strong players like you and Jordan and Sean Nagel of playing A6 B5? What's the appeal there? Is it if I may venture, is it the satisfaction of beating someone with that opening, or I played it against a lower rated and was able to win?
I think it's different for every player. For I can only speak for myself in this regard. I think I actually felt that in many cases, yeah, Black is left with a disadvantage. But I convinced myself that maybe the disadvantage was not much worse than the disadvantage he deals with in other openings. Right. And this is, you have to understand, I'm coming from the background as a French defense guy. So if I'm going to end up with a possible cramped position, maybe having a cramped position where I have chances of doing the rope-a-dope might be even more fun. So, and yes, it was the case that early on I'd get a number of nice wins because people just think it's garbage and feel the full force of my sword if they pushed too far too quickly. So
yeah, even in a bad opening, there's slight advantages. Like you said,
yes.
I mean, you might have your opponent underestimate you because you're playing it, or I mean, worst case scenario, you're still learning new positions. You're still learning different structures. So even though it's bad, there's still some good in it.
Yes. Yes, it's I guess the best one can say about this is that with many approaches that White takes against it, the opening is not as bad as it looks. It's still bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to suggest somebody play this as their first opening in chess, because you'll deal with a lot of painful losses, but it's not as bad as it looks at the very beginning with e4, e6. Now, in this case, though, I think that Michael has allowed Black to get everything he wants in this game. And let's look at the anatomy of this. So we have this position, which seems solid enough. And the one issue here is that Black is playing fairly concretely. So he's not just moving his pieces around. He's doing it with a purpose to counterattack against the White center. And so White needs to keep that in mind when they're developing their pieces. And already one of the advantages of B5 is that Black has a bit of a space advantage there, right? Which is, now, okay, there are similarities with the English defense with B6. One difference is that the pawns moved up a square, and so White might find it more difficult putting a cramp there. But it's also important to notice that those pawns on the queen side can have an impact on the center. And so when Michael plays knight f1, ostensibly to get his knight to g3, help defend the e4 square, maybe get his bishop into e3. Now at this point, Black has extra pressure on d4. White is focusing on defending e4. And then after queen b6, White has more pieces attacking d4 than Black has Black has more pieces attacking d4 than White has defending. And so he plays here, and already the pawn is on pre. However, it can't be taken because and as a French player, you're very familiar with this tipo, right? So then White decides to ratchet up the tension, threatening to remove one of the protectors of the e4 square, and then force the knight on g3 into a bad position, which knights on g3 can be decent, but it's always a concern that they might find themselves misplaced. And with bishop g5, now he's basically left. Bishop g5 doesn't truly address the h4 push, because the knight on f3 then becomes overworked. And that's what Jordan took advantage of with that move.
That's a good point.
So if bishop takes h4, now knight takes d4, and then the bishop on h4 would be on priest after knight takes d4. So for example, put it on the board and knight takes. And so if knight here, then knight here. And well, we've got equal pawns. Yes, but black has given up his h pawn for white's d4 pawn. So he has a small advantage in the center. He has the two bishops, and he has an open line against white's king position, and can probably play like g5, g4, and the party's on. So Michael runs back with knight e2, and now knight b4 happens, which coincidentally is both attacking the bishop on d3, get the bishop pair, but also threatening to capture the pawn on e4. Bang.
So now he's just down a pawn.
Down a pawn with a relatively sad position to boot.
I wonder if he could have tried taking on h4 after knight b4. After knight b4. I wonder if he can take now.
So bishop takes b4 here.
Oh, maybe he can take on f3. Yeah. Oh, but the rook's hanging in the corner, so maybe not. Yeah, this line's rather interesting. How about queen e3? Or maybe even anywhere queen on the third, because I want to maintain control of the knight. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Let us go.
Maybe queen b7 here. Just put more pressure on f3.
Yeah.
Because you want to reinforce that tactic.
Yep. And now, regardless of what
maybe
happens,
this wins a pawn. All right, or you have to take on f6 now.
If you have to take on f6, then I think this is just.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is a very sad position.
This was also an interesting line. Because the line in the game, he just lost a pawn. So I don't either he didn't look at the other lines, or he thought even though the other lines, maybe he just thought the other lines were even worse.
Possibly, or maybe he thought that he'd have some nice discovery because he's getting pressure down the half-open e-file and the king's stuck in the center. So maybe he might have maybe his evaluation was wrong, probably.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything here.
No, there's less than nothing here for ouch.
Is that giving the pawn back?
How so?
Or no, that's not. Never mind. My calculation was way off.
Oh, That's fancy schmancy. But what does it achieve? So he's exchanged out, and
a pawn.
and a pawn, although he's giving up the g6 pawn.
Yeah, not for much longer.
So, okay.
That was a little scary there for a moment. Yeah, I'm a little surprised you didn't play 95 first. Maybe it didn't matter.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. So after here, here, and then 95 immediately. Let's see if that makes a difference. So 95 now. And wow, this is actually not trivial.
I'm guessing we're looking at the same line. What I'm looking at is king d6, rook c1, rook ac8. And then maybe there's some sort of knight f7 possibilities along the way.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Is that working?
Yeah, at very least, wait, isn't this just a draw if we want it? If this line happens, can't we just zigzag back and forth?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be. Well, I suppose we should also consider the possibility that after knight takes, he plays here and here and here.
Hmm. Maybe.
And
It
it's
looks a
all
little
of a
bit like
sudden
a
a pawn
death
up.
wish, but they are threatening f2.
Yeah, they're threatening f2. They're a pawn up for the moment. And yeah, this is.
The line goes on. We won't get too deep in the weeds, but queen e8 and the game goes on.
So anyway, so this is how the game went. So he won a pawn back, but he's getting his okay, 97 isn't working. Otherwise that looked interesting.
Yeah, this isn't going to cut it now.
Yeah, now this is kind of, well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe this isn't complete. Maybe this isn't winning for black, but yeah, maybe. I mean, you do have a knight and 2 pawns for the rook, right?
Yep. Although the rook is already well placed, and now after this, it seems. I mean, there's still fight there. So Jordan managed to avoid the trap with rook d4. So knights are always tricky in these kind of positions.
Yeah, these knight and 2 pawns against rook is so tricky. Like, it's you're playing for 3 results, in my opinion. Like white could win that, very easily. Black could, of course, win it, or it could be a draw. I mean, I admire Jordan's time usage because he still has he's only lost 4 minutes from his 45 moves, and it's a very complex position. I wouldn't have the guts. I would be tanking right here on my clock, because I would be, oh boy, I could lose this, or oh, maybe I could win this. Just a little
this is
funny
crazy.
there.
This is really crazy. Oh, Jordan's such a stinker. So I was steady looking at. Oh, did he just walk into 95? Knight of 7 mate, and there's a check from the side. You see, and it seems like he's just a move too late. So I was looking at maybe pawn here, but then here, and here, and here, and knight here isn't working because of here, and if here, then there, and like it was in the nick of time. And otherwise, if he goes directly to g5, which happened in the game, then rook b6 pushes the king back. Well, pushes the king away, and allows And unfortunately, he has the check, kicking the king back again. But even in the worst case scenario, the king always had h7 because you can't both check the king and cover the h7 square. So at this point, Michael had seen enough and resigned. So that was so it's to answer your earlier question. Wouldn't you like to be the black player in this position?
Yes, I would.
So that's why some people play it or played it anyway.
Yeah, okay. You haven't converted me yet. Maybe if I see you beat a IM or a FM with this A6 B5 nonsense, I'll take it up.
Okay. All right. I don't think I'm going to start on that quest just yet, because things have changed since a few years ago. So let's look at okay, Robert Donahue versus Norman Myron, and we have this weirdness. Is this book?
No clue.
That is definitely not book. What is this? Oh my. So I'm going to make a half-educated guess that this attack is going to oh, the idea is if pawn takes, then I guess I don't know what the idea is. Is it queen here maybe?
Let's see, wherever. Oh, come on. Wait. Oh yeah, Robert. Robert played. Are we even there yet, or am I skipping ahead? Oh no,
You
I'm
might be
going
skipping
backwards.
ahead.
Sorry, I'm a bit behind you. I got caught looking at the chat, the YouTube chat. But going back to
Oh,
G4, Robert spent an impressive 20 seconds on G4, factoring in the 30-second bonus.
that's crazy.
He's all in on the craziness.
Yep. I mean, don't get me wrong. Is this G4 idea is not new, and it's surprising how many positions it becomes useful.
Yeah, this looks good for white.
Yeah. I mean, I think. I wonder if changing the move order, if Queen D4 first makes any sense. So if Queen D4, and then if F6, oh, F6 isn't doable. So then G6 and bishop here. I wonder if that. I suppose at the end of the day, maybe it's just giving the piece back, but it just seems. Am I missing something there? Instead of rook G7 immediately, if he plays Queen D4, how is Black defending?
Yeah, he's not. I mean, maybe you already pointed this out, but yeah, G6, bishop H6, right?
Yeah, bishop H6.
You know, this reminds me of, and maybe other people have seen this, but just this whole concept of, and maybe it was a similar opening, but the famous Laszlo Polgar book, the 55-24, whatever that number was of different combinations and tactics, and that famous book. And there's a tactic in there where, you know, for those familiar with the book, and maybe that's everyone watching, the book's kind of categorized off into different sections of combinations where you can target the B2 and B7 pawns or the G2 and G7 pawns. And there was this famous tactic I really liked in there. I bookmarked it. I liked it so much. And I'm not a huge bookmarker. But we're basically, I forget who the players were. They were ancient guys who, I don't know, it was like 1910 or something when the game happened. And basically white sacrificed everything on G7 and checkmated with like 2 bishops and a knight. That kind of reminded me of this game where maybe Robert was inspired by that game and he's like, okay, I'm sacking my rook and I'm going to sack everything and mate him.
Meanwhile, the simple way might have been the better way. Because it seems as
Meanwhile,
if
the
right
simple way
now,
might have been the better way, precisely.
yeah, because it seems like right now, after this, which seems like it's, well, I still don't see, yeah, I don't see how black is escaping this.
What's fun is, and now I'm trying to be all fancy, but I think we can even let them both take our pawn on b2 and our rook. I'm looking at rook takes g6, pawn takes. Oh yeah, we
Oh,
definitely yeah. Rook takes
well,
g6, h takes, knight takes. I mean, yeah, we just win.
so if here you're talking about
Yeah. Oh, it's black's move. My bad. Then
is
rook
black's
takes.
move, yeah.
Yeah. Or knight
So
takes.
yeah,
Either. Yeah.
yeah. Let's see. What's the fanciest way to do this? Uh, Actually, you know what might help black in this position is playing d5 to try and block this guy.
And actually, I think, yeah. I mean, just moving the knight out of the way is simple as well.
Because now this is actually a bit bothersome. I wonder if this is working. Maybe the rook just has to run back.
Or I'm thinking like f6, knight takes g6, bishop takes g4, knight takes f8. I mean, they're surviving, I guess.
There's this. Maybe this is the move.
Yeah, and then they're
Or
not
a
getting
move, I
mated,
don't
but
know.
they're better.
Yeah. And then if here, so you have to protect against the checkmate. So I suppose f6 comes to mind. Maybe. Oh, yeah, just knight takes.
And bishop
No,
takes
just knight.
d4. Bishop takes d4, I think, is even better, but d5, but yeah.
Bishop takes d5.
And then queen takes. Oh wait, maybe this isn't. Oh wait, well we just take the rook. Knight takes f8 probably. I mean, it's all winning. It doesn't really matter. Oh, forgot about that one.
Yeah, it's a bit complicated. That's why I thought maybe playing here and then after this, now knight takes, and now if he captures on f6, now we have checkmate on f8, keeping him from capturing on g4, and then if he plays knight d7, then we have queen g7 checkmate, and so then if here, then maybe just here. I don't know, but it would seem like maybe that playing queen d4 first might have been a better way to go than rook g7, because it seems as if black is going to be able to create some sort of barrier. So here, is this working?
I don't see why not.
So maybe there's f5. Um, yeah, so maybe f5 is a thing.
And if we just maybe f5. He's stopping mate and so I play rook e8.
Yeah, so okay. So he plays knight here instead. But I just think white is going to run out of wood for this fire.
I mean, going back to what you're saying, queen d4 instead of rook takes g7 was just completely crushing.
Yeah. Now this is It could have been a brilliancy, but oofta. Okay. Well, Norman got a good scalp there.
Yeah, good win for Norman.
So going back just a second here. Okay. So she did resign after this. So Dane won that game. Let's go to, because Eddie is in his habitual time trouble. Let's quickly go over there and see what's going on, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, some sort of Slav with an early G3. Okay, this is an interesting position because there's something like this that can happen in London, and both Eddie and myself are fans of that position. And Eddie makes the interesting choice of allowing b5 to happen so he can get c6 for his knight, which is a more active square. Oftentimes that knight ends up on d7. So already Black has a good position. He has pressure on d4 and pressure on b4, which slows down White's attempt at creating some pressure on the queen side. So you have these moves. Yeah, and here I was wondering if maybe b6 was possible, forcing. So b6 here looks like an idea.
Then B. Well, yeah, you can't play B4. Duh. Yeah, I like B6.
Looks like an idea. I don't know if it's any good, but it seems like it would cause.
No. I like it. I like it. Break the little pawn chain.
Yeah, it seems like this would cause White to regret his premature advances over on the queen side. But okay, bishop f6 was played, and
I mean, because technically White has a nice connect 4, because that bishop on E3 is basically just a big pawn.
I like how you think.
I mean, it's not a happy bishop for Nate, but you know.
No, but it's trying to make its mama proud, as difficult as it seems that is to do. Yeah, this is not okay. So it doesn't come around to playing b6, and
yeah, I think Eddie's better. Just better now.
yeah, this is a dream position for Black right here. When when none of White's pieces have gone or are beyond the third rank, I think it's fair to say that Black is doing fine.
Yes.
And so Nate makes an attempt to burst out with e4. Okay, it has some pluses to it. One non-plus is giving up the d5 square.
Yeah.
Which Eddie quickly takes advantage of.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for Eddie to convert this into anything, but especially with less time. Okay, that must be a DGT error.
A DGT error. That cannot be a real move. I'm wondering what could he have played though? Yeah. Now okay, we're in silly town at this moment.
I always love, I know I've brought this up before, but I always love how when there's a DGT error, it's not just like an error, it's like they know to play, the overlords know to play the worst possible move on the board. It's just, you know, I almost want to waste 30 seconds and figure out why that happens.
Yes. Because, yeah, this sequence of moves makes zero sense. So this cannot be the real position on the board.
It
At
looks
least I'd
like
to believe
something
it.
out of one of Levy, better known as Gotham Chess's, one of his bot videos where he has Chat GPT up against Google, some Grok or some other
okay.
AI chat bot, where basically
Yes.
every other move's a blunder because they don't know how to play chess.
Yes. Yeah, so okay. We'll leave this one alone and maybe we'll have an explanation from Eddie later. Um, oh, okay. Andy. Andy's been playing some enterprising chess. Well, okay, he always plays enterprising chess. But he's managed to combine enterprising with successful as well, where his ideas don't always bite him in the derriere. So this is ultra modern chess. D4, knight f6. Okay, normal Indian opening. Knight c3, threatening. Would you like a Jobava? G6. No, I want to play King's Indian, or maybe Pierce, since the knight's on c3. Okay, so we got a Pierce, and all of a sudden now I think this is the Austrian, right, with f4 immediately, or is this?
I don't know what this is. This a completely unfamiliar position to me, but I kind of like it for white.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think this is the Austrian attack. I think Fischer used to play this stuff against the Pierce back when the Pierce definitely had much less respect than it has now, and everybody was about bashing it flat. And so f4 was like the way to take, figuratively take black out to the woodshed. So now I think we've left theory a few moves ago. This doesn't look familiar, but black definitely has his work cut out for him. At some point, black probably needs to look at a way to get some foothold in the center. And so he's using b5, which is kind of counterattacking against the center because maybe the pawn gets to b4, and black will have one less piece defending the e4 square. Or he could just threaten to trap the bishop. So okay, so now we have this situation. White still has his space control of the center. And see, black has gained some space on the queen side, but he's also opened up the c4 square for a white piece, maybe. And now he's not even giving him the opportunity to get much of a foothold anywhere. So this happens, and here. And
I mean, this
yeah,
is all good for white, don't get me wrong, but I was just like a little wondering why white's still kind of playing on the queen side in the center. I kind of just want to go g4 and knight g3.
yeah, I mean, it would seem like after 92 that the schematic in White's brain might be something like this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and maybe bring the king over here. Put everything on the king side.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, more realistically, at least g4, f5, or g4, g5 at f5, just get the pawns in and then have the pieces behind it. So maybe rook ae1, g4, knight g3, and of course you always have to be careful that you don't overextend those pawns in front of the king. c4 just seems like
Dubious.
Yeah, I don't like it. And like it even less after that, unless he's figured out that that pawn isn't long for this world, which is possible.
I guess yeah, just
So
gonna push the c pawn.
Huh?
Yeah, I guess you have to push the c pawn now. That's the only way you're winning, and it probably is
Yes.
just winning.
Yep. Now I don't know if black should have played rook c8 instead. So leave the other rook active and play this rook here. But then maybe he's concerned that this is still...
Yeah, this is just losing for black. Rook b8.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yep. So okay, so he probably didn't have a choice then. So in that case, white has just come out of the complications with a pretty decent and maybe even winning endgame position.
Now he's just toying with his food. Whether it's best or not, he's just, I mean, look at this. He's just, oh, I'll beat you when I want to beat you.
Or better still, I'll beat you how I want to beat you.
Yeah.
Ouch. Okay. So that it wasn't the most typical Andy game, but he got the job done in the end. Let's see, we got a couple more games. So Evan Patchen. Is he actually from England?
I'm guessing so, actually. I've seen him at a few tournaments, but I've never talked to him, so I actually don't know, but I'm guessing so.
All right. Well, let's see how he did against our buddy Noah. So Italian game, Gioco Pianissimo, as it used to be called. What roll? How did this happen? There, and there, and there. So, yikes. Somehow, somehow this is not looking good. There and there. So, well, maybe black. Nope.
Yeah.
So now he's just a pawn up in an ending where he's okay.
Create the pass pawn and
Wait a second, though.
Yeah, that's a little. What is b5? Why didn't
Is he saying you can't do anything to me? This is...
Yeah, I don't know why you allow this.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if this is part of his plan from the get-go, but he has two breakthroughs. Because I was thinking that maybe he'll just play bishop d4 next, and then... But the king can't control both sides, so what does he do?
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, so now it seems as if...
Why do this to yourself, though? I mean, why? I mean, unless you just want to really drag out the game. But even, okay, maybe he never quite lost the thread, but I didn't understand. I think it was b5 like 30 moves ago. I mean,
yeah. Oh, this is clever. So the bishop can't take the pawn because of knight g6. And unfortunately, there's no stalemate trap. All right. So yeah, that b5, let's go back for a sec to that b5 moment, because that kind of took me by surprise. And b6. And then b5.
And he spent like 2.5 minutes on that move, 3 minutes. It's a little weird. I mean, maybe I guess I can start to explain it. I'm guessing he was just worried. Okay, my two pawns on the queen side, they're on dark squares. Black has a dark square bishop. He's going to win one already, so might as well play b5 and complicate things. But like, I would probably just take on b6. The bishop will take you, and then it's going to take black at least what 1, 2. It'll take him 3 moves to win that pawn if you just let him win it. And in the meantime, then you can start just h5, and he's going to have to take extreme measures to stop your pass pawn. So that's probably was a bit more practical. But
yeah, b5 just seems like a wowee move. But apparently he had things calculated because everything else seemed to go really smoothly after all this. Which is key. Literally stalemating the king, because the king can't come up to this square because then you lose the bishop right away. So king f7 is a really good move in my opinion. And yeah, after that, everyone was able to get the job done. So all right, we have I think one more game. Jakob Pikus, Jacob against Judson Girton. Let's see what happened there. So we're approaching a reverse Benoni. At this moment, it's like a reverse old Benoni, and it's I think one of the more challenging ways for Black to play against these ready type positions. But both sides need to be aware of what they're doing, and in this position, oh.
you know, you almost timed that perfectly. In this position, black blunders a piece.
Yikes. So what's going on now?
Or is it? Oh, maybe not. It's not so simple. It still looks bad, but not so bad.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for sure. At the very least, it gets 2 pawns for a piece, maybe. Ah, wait a second. Maybe Black isn't out of the woods yet. That's a move, isn't it? Well, I mean, I don't know if this is all planned out, but this is at the very least a very nifty dance that Black has succeeded in doing here. Can you imagine this? After all of that, is material even?
Yeah, this is interesting.
This is slightly more than interesting. So, oh, Judson's not making it easy. Oh, this game is probably. I mean, I know ahead of time it's going to end in a draw, but this is probably one of the more fun games to go over tonight.
Oh yeah, it's like anti-chess. Every move, someone's taking something.
Yes. Now, okay, so he's trying to prepare himself for maybe bishop takes f7 or knight takes f7. I'm not sure, but okay. See what happened here. Ah.
That's
That's a neat tactic. Is it going to be enough though? So I wonder if d5 is working in that position. Oh, actually, there might be some shenanigans if you try that, because now you come here and you're attacking the defender of the bishop on f7.
Hmm. Yeah, I wonder if he didn't have to trade rooks though. I wonder if he could have kept rooks on the board and maintained the pawn. I mean, can you, if you want to win this, maybe just try rook b4. Or do you still have, maybe you have rook d8 then. Oh, but then you have knight b7.
So we're looking at this position, rook b4.
Yeah, rook d8, knight b7. But then do they just, yeah, maybe they just, either way equalize material. Maybe he couldn't stop, yeah, maybe he couldn't stop black from putting the
Or
pawn back.
maybe he even just goes here. Oh, this probably doesn't work because of that, right?
It probably still does. They trade everything off, but yeah.
Yes. This is a crazy position. Okay, so rook f8 there, bishop there, knight there. So at this point, it looks like it should end in a draw. But that said, is yeah. So they agree to draw here. But yeah, this was at least tactically one of the more fun games tonight. So I think we covered all the games. We're assuming this one did not end in this position, and I don't know if Eddie clarified anything in the chat.
He didn't, unfortunately, because he's still playing. I'm glad he didn't clarify, because he would be breaking some sort of castle code.
Yes. All right.
We actually
So
have
that's
him
the
on
one
camera
game.
there. Him and Nate are not only the top board, but unsurprisingly so, they're also
The only
graced with
board.
being on our camera.
Nice. Let me take a look at the. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't really see the live board. It's a bit too far away and a bad angle to
Yeah.
boot. But
All right.
let me take a quick
Well,
look at the
that's
standings here. This is the
okay.
second to last week of the August Thursday nighter. So currently we have, okay, that's the open section. Here's the premiere. Yeah, okay, well, this makes sense. Going into tonight, there are only 2 players on a perfect score of 2 out of 2, and that was Nate and Eddie. And then Dane and Seraphima were the only players on 1.5. And of course, Dane beat Seraphima tonight, so Dane's at 2.5. And the list goes on.
Oh my.
In the open section, Kevin Landman was the only player perfect with 2 out of 2. And unfortunately, we do not know how he did tonight, but we will get that updated, I'm sure, by next week, so people can take a look at that on the council website.
So I'm just taking a look in the chat, and I see Jordan defending the honor of the St. George.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling ganged up on there. I mean, I would have liked to have made some sort of rebuttal in the chat, but unfortunately, since, as people can tell, I have a bit of a new setup tonight because I had tech issues. So for some reason, I'm not figuring out how to chat like I normally can. So Jordan's kind of having free reign there too to support this A6 B5 nonsense, but maybe Thomas or Evan or Ashton can kind of, who also chatted, maybe they can back me up if they feel so inclined.
Which I just noticed that the great Ashton Jin is in the house.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's going to be playing this weekend if he's in town.
You know, yeah, I haven't checked the tournament registration, but maybe.
Yeah, neither have I. But yeah, so Jordan's like, this is a troll opening? No, the French defense. No, that's a real troll opening.
I mean, that's just slamming us because me and you, we both used to play the French. Maybe you still do. I don't, but
Yes, I'm still one of those long-suffering people playing the French against all the newfangled attacks they're putting up against it. But yeah, B5. And you know, think going back to the game between Evan and Noah. Sorry, this moment here. I wonder, could this actually have been the best move? Because I mean, I don't know. It seems as if I probably would have taken this approach, but is it losing? It doesn't seem like it. It seems as if after this was played,
yeah, I
White
agree. I
just had
don't
a
think
really
it's
smooth
losing.
opening.
It just seems to make matters so much more complicated. Like it was such a close route. Like in that position, that key position you mentioned, where Black's king was on H7 and his bishop was on G7, and White kind of cornered him. Like it almost seemed like you had to see that if you wanted to play this.
I mean, but it did have a point to it in that it created a pass pawn regardless. And so if he did it this way, then the king has to. Oh wow, this might have been Evan's idea, or at least the main point of his idea is that if he goes the other way, so this is the way that went to the game. But either way, the bishop or king has to stay back to defend on the queen side.
Yeah,
And
you're
then
right. Maybe he was hoping for Black to take on G5 and B5 instead. Yeah.
But either way though, it turns out that his king is close enough to stop. His king and knight are close enough to stop the A5 pawn. Noah's king is close enough to stop the A6 pawn, but can he do that and defend against the promotion on the king side? And so maybe this was actually, paradoxically, maybe this was the smoothest way to do it, was to take the time to calculate things out. And let me see, how long did Evan take on E5? About 2.5 minutes, yeah?
I think he actually said something in the chat.
Oh.
This is a bad night for me to not be able to chat, considering that usually the chat isn't this active. But earlier on he said that was my plan with the pawns on opposite sides. So yeah, I think you're right. Okay, he wanted to create pass pawns on both flanks. He said didn't want to exchange pawns and only play on the king side.
Which would be the case if he had just played here, then yes, they both have a pawn, but his pawn isn't passed. And so it makes it easier for the defense to deal with this guy.
Yeah. No, the more I see it and the more he explains it, I kind of agree with him. Because Black's king does catch up. So if this would have happened, Black's king does catch. So maybe it's not winning anymore.
Oh, nice. That's a nugget to keep in the memory banks.
Yeah, no,
E5 breakthrough.
I think it's even time that we check with our friend the evaluation bar, because now I'm just too curious to know what the best move was.
Okay.
Guess let me find
So
the
you
game.
do that. Let me know what it shows.
I will.
Meanwhile, we'll see
Okay,
if
move 30 when he played b5. Okay, so it's plus, according to my weak engine, Stockfish 16 on depth 30. It's plus 4.1 after b6, and then Evan played his b5 move, and yeah, it's still completely winning. Was it the best move? So a takes b6 was the best, but b5 is still completely winning. So either move worked.
Okay. Conceptually, this b5 just seems more aesthetically pleasing in a way to me. Of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It just seems like such control of the position to know you can do that and often I'm a sucker for positions where it almost feels and no animals are hurt in the creation of this comment. You're picking the wings off the fly type of thing.
Is that a saying?
I don't know if it is. I've said it before, not in this context, but yeah,
I haven't heard that one.
yeah, I don't know if it's an actual saying, but it summarizes a specific vibe in the game where the enemy is helpless and just has to sit and wait for the denouement. So, yeah, this is very nice by Evan. Okay, I guess we're kind of stuck with this ridiculous looking position. Maybe we'll call it a night and ask Eddie later what happened. Any other messages before we close shop?
The only other things I guess I could briefly mention, I pulled up the online registration here for the big tournament, arguably the biggest tournament that's held at the castle each year, the Roger Hale, that is. Just a brief look at the entry list. We have, of course, Robby Kevlishvili, who is confirmed to play. That nice 26-22 USCF rating that we'll never get. We have Andrew Lewis Titus also playing in second place via the rating list, at least. We have Jordan Tim. We have David Shaver, Dexter Thompson, Josiah Jornby. I think he's from, South Dakota. So we have 6 masters, it looks like, and then several other players over 2,000. So pretty good turnout. And just to remind people, you have the Voj section, which is the top section, the Roger section. It's, of course, Roger Hale, who's sponsoring this tournament, who's always been a very kind contributor to the castle. And then, is there another section? Oh, yeah, the future section. So there's 3 sections.
Okay.
But, and then lastly, we do have our sponsor, which is Chess Goals. Simple chess courses for non-grandmasters. You can learn complete repertoires in under 100 lines. This is headed up by local national master Matt Jensen. You can use the coupon code CASTLE to save 30% on any purchases at chessgoals.com. So check that out, and we hope to see you this weekend. Any closing words, okay?
Nope. Looking forward to an interesting weekend. That's all I gotta say is, and I think, I mean, as I said, I thought that practically the game between Jacob and Justin was most fun, but the more I look at it, the more I think Evans B5 was the move of the night. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about that move. It just gives good vibrations. So
yeah, what's nice about it is it's showing that he was still, even though he was up a pawn in a seemingly completely winning endgame, he was still calculating, and he wasn't just assuming it was winning, but he was still, oh wait, maybe I need a pass pawn on both sides. So yeah, I confer with your verdict. But yeah, well, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll hopefully see you all this weekend. Good night.
All right.